Hey everyone, welcome to House Call. I'm Dr. Boone Brock. I'm here with Daniel Miller. We had a little bit of a break. It was 2 weeks because one of them you were sick. It wasn't COVID. Thank goodness. But then there was the week before we didn't do anything either. Do you remember why?
I think it was a COVID concern, right?
That's what it was. Sick? Yeah. You're right. Right. Because Cruz threw up, so we didn't do that one. Yeah. And then the following week you guys didn't have test results.
Yeah.
So we didn't shoot there either. So it's been 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
And a lot has happened in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Particularly in my life.
So. Yeah.
Right?
I would think so, yeah.
All right, but we got stuff to talk about. So I'm gonna cover a couple things, little things first. So there's this case where I think you told me about this. The kid with like the 0.13 GPA who got all the way to his senior year in high school, right?
Was ready to graduate.
He was about to graduate.
At the top of his class, which is the most interesting part.
He was the top of his class, and then they said like you can't graduate. Yeah. You have to go back and do all the grades again.
3 years. I think he has to go back and do 3 years.
So obviously we're talking, the problem is, why did you continue to progress? Why did he matriculate through 4 years of high school, not having earned the credits necessary to complete any given year?
Drop the bomb on the family at the end.
At the end, he's the top of his class. How? So what's the rest of the class?
That's what I'm saying.
What are their GPAs?
Right.
So
I think he missed like 256 days of school. Why are you letting him get to the next grade?
My question is then how has he passed anything?
Yeah, he shouldn't have. Yeah.
There's no way that should be a surprise to you in your senior year.
Right.
How are you a senior?
Right. Yeah.
By what standard are you a senior?
And not just that, but he was also advancing to the next level of algebra, and I mean, he was failing science.
Yeah, but then he would go to the next one.
He would go to I mean, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
That's a waste of time and money. And then you try to drop the bomb on him at the end.
Right. So then, what's the point at the end of then saying you can't graduate? You did it now. You already did it.
Right. Yeah. It's awful.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I wonder. Well, I was going to say, is this about the pandemic? But it couldn't be about the pandemic because we're talking 4 years of high school. So it wasn't the pandemic.
Yeah.
You had to not be paying attention his freshman year, his sophomore year, right?
And the mom said she's only received one phone call for a meeting with a teacher, which never transpired.
They didn't even have the meeting.
They didn't even have the meeting. But in all of those years, only one teacher reached out to the mom.
Really?
To have a meeting. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you know me. You know my thing is education. You know I'm all about education. And I stopped talking about education because I would get in so much trouble. People would get so mad at me. But I put a big chunk of the onus for problems in education on teachers. And my philosophy behind that is you can't blame the parent, even though ideally in a perfect world, we talk about what's going on at the home, right? What is the problem that this young man is not achieving at a high? You can't tell me that he's not capable of more than a 0.13. Right. I have a hard time believing that.
Yeah.
In most situations, I would have a hard time believing that. And ideally, the parents would step in and blah, blah, blah. In a perfect world, you'd want to intervene at home first. But the fact of the matter is we don't live in a perfect world. And you can't tell people, don't work in the evening, stay home and help your son with his chemistry homework. I'm not a fool.
I think she had 2 jobs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Single mom.
Yeah. That's the story. You know what I mean? That's the story.
Yeah.
And you can't tell that person work less so you can help your son with his homework. That's not realistic.
Right.
Because, they don't take, when you want to buy a loaf of bread at the store, they don't take hopes and dreams.
Right.
They don't take, you know what I mean? They take money. That means you got to work. And so that's what's typical is in a lot of these situations, you got a single mom, she's working super hard to put food on the table, and she's trusting the child, like, I need you to get your work done. I completely get it, but I digress.
But yeah, I want to hear you're putting this on the teachers. I want to hear you finish that
thought. So then the next line of defense is the teachers, and the teachers are trained, right? They are educated, and this is their job. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Like you have one job: educate people. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean it's easy. I know it's not easy, and the odds are stacked against you. My point is, if we're going to intervene, the intervention that I believe would have the most success is if teachers accepted the onus.
But they would need to get paid.
They need. Listen, I've been saying that. I've said it on the show. In my opinion, the starting salary for a teacher should be $150.
Yeah, I agree.
If you want people to be educated properly, you have to prioritize educating, and you have to really prioritize educators.
Yeah, and then you can really hold them accountable.
Right. You could hold their feet to the fire. You could say, listen, if kids are falling through the cracks, I'm coming at you. Mm-hmm. Right. But starting salary for that struggling school out in the boondocks should be $150. Mm-hmm.
When his teachers were probably making what, 30,000, 40,000,
exactly,
maybe,
maybe, right? Yeah. There are places where teachers are making, $25,000, and it's just like, well, then, okay, well, what do you expect then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're making $25,000, I guarantee your school is not doing very well.
Yeah, and here's the problem. The problem is these teachers are being asked to work miracles, right? Because the kid comes to school, no one has helped them at home with their homework. Because mom's got too much on her plate, right? So now he comes to school. He hasn't done the extra, right? He didn't do the summer reading. He didn't, he's not, no one's looking at his work with him. So if he's not super strong student, he's now at a disadvantage, right? And teacher has to manage little Johnny's at this level, little Sally's at this level, Jamal over here got problems at home, and Jose's over here, and blah blah blah, all this stuff, and the teacher's expected to manage all of that
in an overcrowded classroom.
And this teacher is underpaid. What?
Yeah, and no resources. Yeah.
And so let me finish the chain. So the next line after the teachers is the administrators, and the administrators are the ones whose feet are to the fire from the state, stuff like that. They're being evaluated, and they're being looked at like, what are your numbers like? On the ridiculous, the dumb, like standardized test, all that stuff, right? Administrators are dealing with that. They're not on the front line. Right? And no disrespect to administrators, because a lot of administrators go from the classroom to administration. And in my opinion, that's what makes a good administrator. But the point of the matter is administrators have to do their job, which is worry about the appearance of things, worry about, worry about the logistics. So the front line is the teacher. And that's where you have to intervene. But again, I'm saying that I want to hold the teacher's feet to the fire, and I want them to make $200,000. I want you to be, when you've been there a couple years and you've earned your stripes and you're doing well, you should be making $250,000, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where the value. I believe in that.
Because think about it. What can you think of that is more important than education?
Yeah. I mean,
I'll wait. Go ahead.
All of us, we all get our start in school.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It is foundational to our existence.
Yeah. It's what runs the economy.
Education breaks down, the whole thing falls apart. So I'm saying teachers, they got to be willing to take those L's. You know what I mean? When I say, hey, he had a 0.13, what are you doing? Right? Yeah. I need to be able to say that. If it's my world, I need to be able to say that to the teacher. But the teacher's not gonna say back to me, okay, but you don't pay me to worry about that. Nah, they're gonna be like, listen, dap on the salary. Exactly. Like, good look.
Yeah.
Like,
but But who's responsible for graduating him to the next grade like that?
That's
not on the teacher. If the teacher
well,
marks
true.
in
all
book an
all
F,
fairness, what I believe it would be administrators
administration
saying you gotta pass him.
Yeah, how you gonna send them from algebra 1 to algebra 2? That's not on the
I don't
teacher.
I don't think you're going to find a teacher out there who. No, you might find a cynical, like jaded teacher who's just like, skip it. It don't matter because they're going to make me do this. But that's not their fault. They got that way because the administration beat them up.
Right.
You know what I mean? The administration beat them up and they just said, forget it. I'm not fighting this fight anymore.
Yeah.
And I can understand that.
Right.
And there probably is some of that in this case, right? Somebody being like, oh, well, I already know what they're going to say. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
Right. But that's not good. That's a problem.
Nah. And of course, it's a black kid in a black school.
Well, of course it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thoroughly convinced that these are fixable problems.
Yeah, but they're not easy.
No, they're not easy.
It starts with money.
That's
and
what
the
it
redistribution.
The thing is, it's about money. This is money.
Yeah.
A school with resources, this doesn't happen.
I remember at one point, Wash High didn't have enough money to give each kid a textbook.
Yeah, they couldn't. They didn't have their books. They couldn't.
We're talking about textbooks,
right?
Not laptops, not iPad.
Right. You kind of need your books.
A textbook.
We're talking about school. You kind of need the books.
Gotta have it. I mean, come on.
And I'm sharing a book with Sally, who lives in a different house.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna take this book home tonight. You're gonna take it home tomorrow.
We rotating books. Yeah. What do you expect in those situations?
That's what I'm saying.
No, you need it. There needs to be an infusion of money, big money too, like real money.
Yeah.
And then get out the way. Leave them alone. Don't tell them what they got to do.
Right.
Don't use these ridiculous tests.
I was gonna say, what would you do with standardized tests?
Eliminate them.
Eliminate them completely.
Yeah.
SATs.
What's the
ACTs.
purpose? There's no benefit.
Yeah, I don't see.
There's no upside.
I never understood.
I'm not even talking about like SATs. I don't mind that. Take the SATs. It gives you a barometer where somebody is. But what is the benefit of taking 2 weeks, stopping the actual education process, and giving them like the PSSAs for 2 weeks? Because now you're not allowed to learn anything else. We just got to.
No, we have to figure out how to pass this.
test.
So we can get money for our school.
Right.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. I got to impress you before you.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. How about you just pay me and I'll show you results? Yeah.
How about you just leave me alone?
After you pay me.
Yeah. Don't forget the check.
Yeah.
On your way out,
yeah.
Leave me my check.
Drop that right there and get out. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's not helpful at all.
Right.
For these schools to ever feel compelled. That's what it is. In these situations, schools are feeling compelled to just, we'll brush this off. We'll deal with this tomorrow. That's all it is.
And what do the stats look like on a kid like this who 0.13 GPA?
What do you mean?
You think he's gonna go back and finish these 3 years?
Oh,
you're talking about school to prison at some point for this kid.
I'm not putting that in the air. I want this kid. Listen, young man. I don't even know who this young man is. If you can hear this, if you can see this, you can do it, man.
I hope he will do it.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Certainly, yes.
But you can. And I put this on everything I love. If you need help, we'll do a Zoom call. I'll help. I mean, I'm terrible. Don't listen. I'm terrible. If it's chemistry, we're screwed. If it's algebra, you about to fail again.
With Doc Brock's help.
Look. Me and Doc Brock came up with this, Teach.
Yeah.
Well, Doc Brock is done.
Yeah.
Don't listen to him no more. If it's algebra, what?
Yeah, my algebra is terrible.
I have no idea.
When did you start realizing that
I didn't know anything?
Yeah. It was algebra. Or I think it might have been division.
No.
Might have first started stuff.
For me, it was trigonometry. I got all the way to trigonometry.
So that's after algebra, right?
Yeah.
So you did well with algebra.
Well enough.
I can't figure out what X is.
I think it was like geometry, algebra 1, algebra 2, and then it was trigonometry.
I never got the trig.
And trigonometry, I swear to you, I bet you I didn't learn one idea. I'm pretty sure I don't know anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what trig is and how it differs from algebra.
I have no idea. But I also don't know what algebra is.
I don't either. I remember when I went to college, not Clarion, but Cal, I actually had to get a tutor.
Really?
To help me with the algebra.
You know what? For me, when I went back to school, so when I was at Pitt, I had to do all the stuff that I hadn't done because I was at music school, like the first time I went to school. So I did 2 years of music school where they don't make you, I didn't have to do trigonometry or whatever, any of that stuff. So then I went out to Pitt, I'm almost done with my degree and they're like, well, you need 4 semesters of a language.
Oh, 4 semesters?
I think I did, yeah. I think maybe it was 2 or 4, but I think it was 2. I didn't do 4. I think it was 2. 2 semesters. I had to do 2 semesters of a language, which made me mad because that meant I had to go to school every day because it was like it met every day for an hour. I was so swole. But they also were like, you have to do algebra. You have to do a math. And I was like, but I had algebra. I passed out of algebra in high school, and they were like, yeah, but I didn't get far enough that like I'm good for college. You know what I mean?
Have you ever found a use for algebra in your life? Yes,
that's the story. The story is I was like, this is the dumbest thing ever. I don't understand. This is useless. I'll never use this in my life. And my college algebra teacher, I contacted him and went to his office and told him like it's not clicking for me at all. I have no idea how to wrap my mind around this. I don't even understand why a person would wrap their mind around this. And he just asked me a little bit about my life. And it was at the time when I was doing, remember when I did that, like that I had like a clothing company. Remember?
Yeah, the Christian clothing company.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just found that not that long ago.
I had a clothing company. I would print Bible verses and stuff on. Isn't that funny? How far my life has come. There was a point where I was selling Bible verses on T-shirts, and no, that's no shade to the people who do that right now. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying that's so light years from where I am right now. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I was in business when I was in school. I had my own business, and so he explained to me, well, you use algebra all the time, and he explained to me how algebra is used in, like, you're trying to figure out how much profit you need, figure out all these equations are usable and not just usable, they are in daily use. Yeah. You just don't realize. You just don't realize that it's also algebra, right? But I love that kind of stuff. You know me, I'll sit and figure something out. I'll like calculate how much should this product cost, or what profit margin do I need, or I've always been like that. And he explained to me that that's all actually algebra, and I that's the only algebra class that I ever felt like I truly understood, and it was because he took the time to explain how
you relate it.
Yeah, he related it for me.
See, that's Amsterdam or Switzerland or somewhere a few years ago they changed their whole high school education format.
Really?
They'll take an event like, let's say, the Holocaust.
Okay.
And they'll study that period of time from a sociological point of view, psychological point of view. So they're still keeping the curriculum, but they're tying it into a certain event. So you can relate. So like your professor or whoever it was that told you are actually using algebra every day, and here's how you're doing it.
Yeah.
Because it's hard for somebody like me to get it from the paper to real life and figure out, how does this help me? What I'm reading here on this paper, trying to figure out what X is,
right?
How's that going to help me in real life?
Right.
It would take an explanation like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Someone that's able to decipher this for you.
Yes.
And break it down and give it to you in chunks that make sense to you.
Right. And if you were to take like slavery and you were to study slavery from an economic point of view, numbers would come a lot easier, I would think, because you can relate to them.
Right.
I love the idea. I'm not sure how it's going for them.
Yeah.
But they're not doing just regular
really?
classes anymore. Yeah.
Wow.
What are your thoughts on that? I mean, you don't know enough about
I don't know
what
enough
said,
about it, but what I will say is the way we do education here, in my opinion, is the worst possible idea.
Yeah. I mean, but I remember when I was in Clarion, so this was probably 96, 97, something like that. But no, it was like 98. I'm at Clarion. My sociology class goes to New York. Remember, I went to
Yeah.
we went to the inner city schools, and the teachers there were telling me they actually teach their kids. They're educating their kids just to graduate to work at Blockbuster and Kentucky Fried Chicken.
What?
Yeah.
Like they really they think of it that way.
Mm-hmm. That's how they're thinking of it. They don't expect any more of them.
Whoa.
Just get enough. Get
These are
this C.
teachers saying this.
Yeah. Take this C and go work at Blockbuster. Yeah. Sad.
Wow.
But that's what our school system is. It's
right.
set up so that we all go back and we work for you.
Right.
For pennies.
Right. That's heartbreaking.
It really is.
I remember when you came back from that trip and you talked a lot about how heartbreaking it was to hear and see some of the things you saw at those schools.
Mm-hmm. It was terrible. It was just terrible, man. You're talking about overcrowded classrooms, like literally taking closets and transforming them into classrooms. I mean, Ruben, their recess, we're talking about little kids. This is an elementary school.
Okay.
Little kids, their recess was outside on the playground right off of the road. I mean, the main road is right here, and these kids are playing, jumping around on the sidewalk. They can't have a ball because it'll go into the street.
Right.
You can't do anything. The teachers are walking through the hallways with a cowbell. I'm talking about a real cowbell.
For what?
To get the kids in line.
Oh.
And then there's one
treating them like animals.
Like animals. And then this one kid really broke my heart because the classroom that we were working as teacher assistants.
Okay.
So I'm a teacher's assistant, and my teacher wasn't there. So they wanted me to teach the class.
Jeez.
I don't remember what class it was, so I just read to them. But you're talking about an overcrowded classroom, and while we're waiting for the teacher to get there as the class first starts, you know, it's like a typical movie. They're throwing paper planes. It just looks real crazy. One kid, one little boy who sat up in the front, did not engage. He did not play with the other kids. He sat there and read his book. And I was just looking at him thinking, what are his chances of getting out of here? It was sad, man. It was sad to watch that. And that was one of the better schools. That wasn't even a public school. It was a private school.
What?
And the teachers would say, you should see
the public
PS,
schools.
whatever. Yeah, the public schools.
And it all, in my mind, it always goes back to money.
Every time.
In America, it's always back to money. Simple and plain.
Yeah.
If you have the money to make it better, you make it better.